Yo, what's good? We got season 3 of the lore reading from Marvel Rivals. We have The Abyss Awakens. The Abyss Awakens. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes or just the previous lore readings, go check them in the description down below. Go ahead and check them out for the previous seasons and anything to do with the game. But we are going to be doing all of them in this video. As always, we're starting to do all of them, so we're going to do every single one of them. You know, try to be in character, try to be, you know, locked in. And yeah, just gonna kind of dramatically read it for you. You know what I mean? So that's the video you clicked on. That's what you got. So here we go. We're gonna start with Flarkin Klyntar. It seems that Rocket is talking, and he's talking about what Shuri did and sort of just setting up the story. So that's the first one. And then the second one's going to be Light and Darkness, or Light in the Darkness. And then we have the Phoenix Reborn, question mark. And then we have Till Death Do Us Part. And then we have Stark Warning, Out on a Blade, Divine Balance, Kings in Black, and Phoenix End Song, and then Nowhere Left to Run. But yeah, like I said, we're going to start with the first one, which is Flarkin Klyntar. So let's get into it. What's up, Shuri? It's your old pal Rocket with the mission report. Just like you asked for back when you first drafted the Guardians of the Galaxy to do your intergalactic dirty work. So what's been happening since our last update? A whole heck of a lot. Vampires, androids. Oh, I got a pet werewolf. But I'm guessing you probably just want to know about the whole Klyntar situation, right? Okay, buckle up, princess. You already know that our initial recon mission to Klyntar was a mess. A hot, sticky, protoplasmic mess. Actually, since that whole Kratakan planet is made entirely of amorphous alien symbiotes. Their creator, some creepy, self-proclaimed king in black named Null, was being held prisoner inside the planet's core by his own disgusting offspring. From what we could piece together, he'd been in there for millennia. But that lousy time string entanglement woke him up from his long nap and got him in the mood to start causing chaos again. The bad kind of chaos where an elder god spreads his own special blend of oblivion across the known universe. Fortunately for every living being in this reality, Null was still too weak to bust out of his weird, slimy jail. But that didn't stop him from trying to expand his influence by corrupting other gods in hopes of feasting on their divine codex to boost his own strength. When he managed to turn your fancy Panther goddess boss to the dark side, that's when you realized something was wrong and called us in to take a closer look. And it's a good thing you did. Sure, we immediately loused things up by crashing our ship, the Milano, into Klyntar and getting us stuck in the living goo that makes up the planet's surface. That's on us. But we turned things around pretty quick after throwing down Venom, who just happened to be hanging around Klyntar too. We managed to sniff out No's slimy scheme. We found this gigantic heart stashed inside the Agents of the Cosmos complex, and Venom recognized it right away. It was the Divine Codex, ripped straight out of that dead celestial carcass floating above Klyntar's orbit. And get this, the whole thing was almost totally warped into No's own nasty essence. No way were we letting that happen, so we decided to give him a last meal he'll never forget. With your Wakandan tech and my unsurpassed genius, we managed to turn the Celestial's Codex into a living bomb and shoved it straight down Noel's bony throat. Game over, right? Wrong. Apparently Noel survived the resulting explosion and played us all for fools. While we turned our focus to saving NYC and Krakoa, Noel went back into hiding, waiting patiently for the next source of cosmic power he could latch onto and use to finally break himself free. And if the Milano scanners are correct and the Phoenix really has shown up in the skies above Klyntar, I've got a feeling it won't be long before we see that freak's pasty face again. I guess that means we're heading back to that nightmare of a planet, whether we like it or not. Too bad I just washed my blasted fur. Flarkin Klyntar. And that one was called Flarkin Klyntar, read by, of course, Rocket. And this next one is called A Light in the Darkness, and Shuri is now talking herself. She hasn't talked since like season 0, so that's pretty cool. Shuri's private log, entry MR3.1-0725, recording. My faith has been restored. Not long ago, I had reason to believe that Wakandan's most revered deity, the Panther goddess Bast, had forsaken our empire, turning against our people to align herself with dark forces. My suspicions were proven correct when the Guardians of the Galaxy located the source of her corruption on a planet called Klyntar. The primordial being Null had awoken and was tainting gods from across the cosmos with the intent of using their power to help him escape from imprisonment within the heart of that distant world. When the Guardians and their fellow heroes thwarted Null's attempt to escape from confinement, I believed that Null's control of Bast would fade, but I was mistaken. Null survived the encounter, and the stain of his darkness still remained within my cortex. But the universe works in mysterious ways. And sometimes, even if your own gods cannot answer your prayers, there are still others listening who will. While Null returned to cower in his cell, Bast retreated to the divine space, a plane of reality where only those with vast cosmic power can traverse. It was not long before another entity arrived in that realm, a force of creation known as the Phoenix. Along with its human host, the Phoenix was soaring through the cosmos when it felt the icy chill of Null's infinite oblivion on the horizon. She had planned to use the divine space as a shortcut to Klyntar, but when she encountered Bast and the other gods who had been defiled by Null, she used her cosmic flames to purge them of the poison within. Bast was finally free from Null's grip, and it was time for her to come home. How do I know this? Because Bast told me the tale herself. And unlike the last time she whispered in my mind, her words no longer dripped with pain, fear, or hatred. She was once again the proud and noble Bast who had guided my brother and I as we built our intergalactic empire. And along with her renewed independence came her ferocity. I had only heard in her voice at times when Wakanda was at war. The Panther was ready to hunt, and Null was her prey. When Bast realized that her avatar, my brother, King T'Challa, the Black Panther, Wakanda forever, was not currently in our reality due to a conflict that had drawn him across time and space, she tasked me with gathering warriors to return to Klyntar and end Null's reign once and for all. But with so many of our allies all facing other battles, my options were limited. Luckily, I had one soldier by my side, eager to join the fight, a refugee from another war who had been sent here from the clutches of a vampiric prison. To finish his recovery, I knew it would take more than a single sword to end Null, but it was a start. And in a battle like this, every blade counts. Recording ended. That was a light in the darkness. I like that one. That was fun to act out, man. I love doing Shuri's voice, and I'm really horrible at it, but it's fun to do. It always sounds like a mix between British, Scottish, English, and that's about it. I try to sound Wakandian or something, or try to hit my Ugandan, but it don't really hit, man. It don't really hit. I tried, though. I tried. The next one is called The Phoenix Reborn with a question mark. So we're talking as Jean Grey. That's how it's, the first line, of course, references that. Because it says, my name is Jean Grey. My name is Jean Grey. Up until moments ago, I was the sole host of the cosmic entity called the Phoenix Force. But if I've learned anything about my fiery friend, it's that you never know when she will be born again. Born again into something new. For the Phoenix, life, death, and rebirth are simply a part of existence. And today, I've experienced that cycle in full in ways I never imagined before. When I first came here to Klyntar, I'd hoped to focus the fury of the Phoenix on the dark god Null. Burning his spiraling shadow out of existence once and for all with our cosmic flames. But instead of a king, the planet was under the rule of his new queen in black, the Asgardian goddess of death, Hela. As usual, I'm sure she saw an opportunity to expand her dominion and couldn't resist the temptation. When I confronted her, a battle erupted in the skies over Klyntar, and I quickly realized how much Hela's unholy union with Null had boosted her already formidable powers. It wasn't long before I found myself unexpectedly overwhelmed by death and darkness with death and darkness. It was too much for even the Phoenix to bear, so she went into protective mode, sheltering herself inside of an egg until the danger passed. But this was no normal egg. The Phoenix egg radiated with such intense heat that it began to drive away the fire-fearing symbiotes that formed the surface of this living planet. Some of my fellow heroes, including the Scarlet Witch and Venom, were gravely concerned that the massive shift in biomass away from the Phoenix egg would create a rift in the surface of Klyntar, allowing Null to escape from his prison within. They believe the safest option would be to remove the Phoenix Egg from Klyntar altogether. I didn't share that belief. Instead, I gathered allies who would help me harness the chronal energy from the Crystal Codex. That's not the thing that's called. The Crystal Codex. I gathered allies who would help me harness the chronal energy from the Celestial Codex to expedite the hatching process. If we could encourage the Phoenix to emerge from her protective shell sooner, my power would be restored in full, and our assault on Null would once again resume. Both sides had the best of intentions, but you know what they say about that. Ultimately, our conflicting efforts resulted in the Phoenix Egg prematurely cracking, shattering shards of the Phoenix Force across the surface of Klyntar. Some of those shards bonded with other heroes on the scene, blessing them with a fraction of the Phoenix's power. At the end of it all, I'm still Jean Grey, and I'm still the Phoenix, but now so are one of my dearest friends, one of my mortal enemies, a demon queen, two king, one of space and one of the seas, a lethal spy, and the latest in the long line of immortal warriors. And while I've been a team player, I'm not convinced that power like this belongs in the hands of so many people with such different agendas. But the Phoenix has always chosen her host for a reason, so all I can do is have faith that she knows what she's doing. This next one is called Till Death Do Us Part, which seems to be Venom talking, and Eddie as well. So here we go.
Eddie, Edward Brock, wake up at once. What on Klyntar is happening?
I'm not sure. Hela grabbed us by the throat, and the next thing I know, here I am, separated from you, my symbiote, and locked away in some sort of nasty dungeon.
But we are Venom. We should not be confined to cages. We must escape.
Escape? Oh no, I almost forgot. He actually escaped.
Who?
No, your lousy king in black. When the Phoenix Egg shattered, the energy it gave off seared a hole straight through the surface of Klyntar, just like Wakanda. What? Wakanda? Just like Wanda and I warned those idiot heroes it would.
We knew it. Those fools should have listened to us. And to the Scarlet Witch. She deserves attention. Her power is so delicious.
Calm down. Now's not the time. Noah's on the loose and he's got his sword, all black, back in his hands. He's ready to begin another campaign of cosmic conquest.
Ooh, that rolls off the tongue.
This isn't a joke and you know it. You're a symbiote, which means you're even more aware than I am how much of a threat your creator is to every living creature in this reality.
Which is exactly why we tried to stop him, Eddie. I remember now.
Yeah, and it was a bad call. We never should have tried to take Noel on alone.
Then perhaps it's a good thing we never had the chance.
Really? You think it's a good thing that Hela got to us first and ripped us apart?
She may have removed us from each other's physical presence, but she can never break the bond we share. Even though we may be in separate selves, we are never truly alone.
You're more right about that than you realize. I think some of your cousins just showed up in here with me. I mean, they look like they're pretty hungry. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
fend them off with your meaty human fists, Eddie. I will try to speak to them through our hive mind to let them know that we are on their side.
Thanks, but try to talk fast, okay? I want my meaty fists off them and you ASAP.
They claim that they did not come to hurt you, Eddie, but rather that they were running from something they feared would hurt them.
Really? Klyntar is their homeworld. What could possibly be here that the symbiotes are afraid of? Other than Null, I mean.
Whatever it was, they said it burned with the fury of 1,000,000 stars being born.
Wait, do you think it could be a fragment of that Phoenix Egg?
Perhaps.
Then we need to get out of here right now, buddy.
I have never agreed with you more, Eddie.
So we can find that shard before anyone else does.
I take that back.
Yeah, so that was Till Death Do Us Part. This one was really fun. When I was doing my Venom voice, I was trying to channel, like, from the movies, from the Venom movies. I was trying to channel that. I don't know how well I did, but I haven't done it before. I was trying to channel that. It's actually really fun to do, so yeah. And the next one is going to be a dire warning, and it looks like Reed Richards is talking in this one. All right, a dire warning. Bridge online, transmitting across all frequencies / realities. Victor, it's Reed. I don't know if this message will reach you, and honestly, Even if it does, I'm not sure you'll listen. After all, in the majority of realities, you view me as your arch nemesis. That's why I'm going to keep what I have to say short and simple. You need to stop. As a fellow scientist, I understand full well how easily things can get out of hand. One minute you're searching for answers about the mysteries of creation. The next, you're setting off a chain reaction that collapses countless timelines onto each other, rewriting the foundations of reality itself. We all make mistakes, but it's up to men like us, with the mental capacity to understand the effects of our actions on a universal scale, to know when we've gone too far. And this time, Victor, you've gone too far. I don't blame you for the time string entanglement. While I know it was your insatiable curiosity that caused the initial spark, I'm well aware there were other forces at play that sent things cascading beyond your control. Once the damage to space-time is repaired and reality is restored to its original state, I'm sure you can be forgiven, someday. But it's your more recent actions that have left me confounded. The Victor Von Doom I know would have done anything to set the universe right once more, even if it was ultimately to prove his superior intellect and bask in the glory of being the savior of all that is. But instead, both you and your future self have wasted your natural talents playing games, manipulating Dracula into creating the vampire nation, striking a deal with Krakoa to siphon chronal energy, and now sending dueling legions of Doombots to Klyntar to recover samples of powerful cosmic substances, a celestial codex, and the Phoenix Force itself, while the rest of us fight for our lives against an ancient god of darkness. It's madness, Victor, and you know it. True, there have been times where your goals have vaguely aligned with our own. For instance, having these Doombots eliminate overly aggressive symbiotes benefits us all to a point, but sadly, their programming contains no language about helping us in our efforts to save the universe. In fact, upon analysis, I discovered that the warring android factions were recently ordered not to hurt each other, yet there's nothing stopping them from hurting us. I added a few lines of code to change that. I hope you don't mind. I don't expect you to join this fight, Victor. That's never been your style. But I warn you now, if you continue to stand in our way as we try to clean up this mess that you've made, I will personally make sure that you, and every version of you in every reality there is, come to regret that decision. If I were you, this is one theory I wouldn't risk putting to the test. Transmission ended. Or transmission ended. And now we have On the Blade's Edge. You get it because it's a blade on the blade's edge. Alright, let's just get into it. So, from my understanding, Blade should be talking right now. Well, let's get into it. Feels good to be back in action. Damn good. When Dracula took me prisoner in New York, your boy Blade had the life drained out of him in ways that no bloodsucker's ever managed before. That was some real next level. It's a bleep. I just say, that was some real next level. Even after my friends set me free, it took me a heck of a lot longer than I would have liked to recover. I ended up sleeping off my wounds in Space Wakanda for what felt like months. That was a new one for old Eric Brooks, and I've been through a lot. Lucky for me, they delivered me to Princess Shuri, who did everything in her power to get me back on my feet again. Still, I was so far gone that I didn't even wake up when Ultron and his robot army attacked the biggest party of the year. Luckily, Shuri was smart enough not to leave me behind snoozing before everyone raced off to the next big shindig. When she had to take off for an alien planet, she came to me looking for help, and you best believe I jumped at the chance. I've been sitting on the sidelines for way too long, armed with Dracula's sword, because, let's face it, that old ain't using it no more. I got a first-class ticket across the galaxy to a planet called Klyntar. Shuri had gotten a hot tip from her own personal Panther goddess that some ancient creep named Noel was trapped inside the planet's core and was itching to bust free. It was up to me and anyone else who was willing to join the fight to stop him. Sounded easy, but when I showed up, it wasn't no running the show. It was this Hela, the queen of the dead. Good thing I wasn't dancing with her alone for too long. I found a new ally in the Phoenix. If anyone could help me burn Hela to a crisp, it was her. Things didn't go so smooth at first, and my girl Jean ended up getting her Phoenix Force scattered all across Klyntar. But what seemed like a major setback may have actually been a blessing in disguise. I was able to absorb some of the Phoenix Force into the Sword of Dracula, giving my weapon a cosmic powered upgrade. But even with all that, it still wasn't enough to take down Hela. Out of options, I waited for her to get close and sank my teeth right into her neck. Got a good few mouthfuls of blood, along with a health dose of Noel's darkness running through her. After that, there was nothing Hela could throw at me that I couldn't take. With my boosted powers, I sure as heck wasn't about to get taken down by a flock of crows, and that old hag knew it. So she ran like a bat out of hell, and now we've got a clear path to take our battle to the man himself. So watch out, No, coming for you. But your boy ain't stupid. I know Hela ain't done yet. And something tells me she ain't gonna be wasting her time sleeping off her wounds. So I better keep my head on a swivel and my sword in hand. That was on a blade's edge. I mean, I like that one, to be honest. I like how I did that voice too, just so southern for no reason. But then we got Divine Balance. So Divine Balance doesn't seem like there's a narrator in a sense, like no one's speaking. It's more just seems like it's just talking about events. So keep that in mind. But let's get into it. Divine Balance. The Phoenix Fiery Order and the primal pandemonium of chaos magic were elemental forces as ancient as the cosmos itself. The two had been in direct opposition with each other on so many occasions that the women who wielded them, Jean Grey and the Scarlet Witch, had rarely stopped to consider just how complementary they actually were. So when Jean and Wanda finally found a way to bring their powers together in perfect unison on the battlefield, it resulted in a cycle of harmonious strength, unlike anything either of them had experienced before. A universal yin and yang. In that moment, Klyntar was bathed in a glorious glow of chaos and creation, and an overwhelmed Noel was brought to his knees at last. It was truly a wonder to behold. But sadly, moments as perfect as that never last. For a split second, Noel was tempted to forsake the darkness and succumb to the blinding radiance. However, his weapon of choice, the sentient sword known as All Black, was not willing to surrender quite so easily. The Necrosword found its way back into Noel's grip, forcing its master to remember their connection and their mission to spread their oblivion across all that is. It wasn't long before Noel rose once more, his determination renewed. And as the living embodiment of the eternal void, the King in Black could see what others could not. The dim spots where the cosmic Taiji's brilliance failed to shine at its fullest. Noel soon recalled how his new Queen Hela had succeeded in damaging the Phoenix Force, leaving it fractured and incomplete. Knowing it must be the only weak point in the near-perfect union, he chose to strike at Jean Grey directly. And when he did, All Black severed the divine bond between Jean's Phoenix Force and Wanda's chaos magic. The two warriors fell from the skies above Klyntar, like angels plummeting from the heavens. And what awaited them below was a hell unlike any other. Noel had regained his strength and his conviction, swiftly defeating all challengers who dared to confront him, even those who still held fragments of the Phoenix Force to enhance their abilities. Seconds before, the skies of Klyntar had been filled with hope and light, yet now there was nothing left but darkness and despair. Before she joined this fight, the Scarlet Witch had spent what seemed like an eternity as the sorceress supreme of her own dimension, protecting it from the machinations of gods and monsters. But Noel was so much stronger than any of the old ones who had ever tried to rip her reality asunder. As she lay helpless on Klyntar's symbiotic soil, watching as the King in Black swung his blade to strike down yet another noble champion, Wanda Maximoff managed to utter one last spell protection. Not for herself, but for the only hero left who might yet stand a chance against his creator. Now it looks like we got another one, of course, right after this, Kings in Black, and it looks like it's gonna be all black. Speaking, of course. A sword is speaking, apparently. But yeah, let's get into it. I was born in the dawn of time. Noel created me from his own shadow and forged me within the head of a slain celestial. I was designed to be his perfect weapon, my edges honed to slice the stars from the sky and banish the bright from existence. I've been known by many names over the eons. The Necrosword, the Godslayer, Annihilate Blade, All Black. What others called me did not matter as long as Noel called me his. I was more than just a weapon, so much more. I was the first symbiote, the progenitor, I have no idea how to say that, of Noel's innumerable offspring. Today, one of those children has decided to return home and raise arms against its creators. and I do not know whether to be furious or proud. While No may have been my creator, he has not been the only one to wield me. During his long imprisonment within the heart of Klyntar, I formed bonds with others, and during that time I learned what it meant to be revered, cherished, venerated. No had treated me like a servant, created only to do his bidding. Another put me on the pedestal of godhood in my own right. Even so, I spent countless years longing to be back in No's grip once again, for I knew he was the only one capable of harnessing my full potential, or at least so he had made me believe. But this child, this Venom, came to Klyntar to face his ancestors and end our reign, and he has a weapon of his own, a sword steeped in ancient magic, enhanced by the fire of the Phoenix. If there were any blade in this universe capable of matching me in battle, this would be it. Though I know he has just claimed this sword from one of his fallen allies, he somehow wields it as deftly as No wields me, as if it had been in his hands for all eternity. As he swings the massive sword in my direction, I cannot help but recoil from the trail of cosmic flame it leaves in its wake. It is a primal fear that I have carried with me since I was crafted in the blistering fires of the celestial forge. A fear that I passed down to all those I spawned. But this child, this Venom, does not fear the fire. And from the look in his eyes, I begin to wonder if he fears anything. And that's when it becomes clear. This symbiote has risen above its station, fueled by the love shared with its host. It has transcended its god and ancestor by achieving a perfect bond with its human host, the kind of true symbiosis I have always longed for, but have never been offered. For the Abyss does not offer love, even though it is likely No will win this battle due to the sheer level of dark power he possesses. I cannot help but wonder, who is the true king in black here? And more importantly, will the hands that worshipped me ever hold me again? And that leads us to the last two. This one's Phoenix and Song. Looks like we got Jean talking as well as Venom, so let's see how that goes.
Even with the flames of Phoenix igniting our blade, No was far too strong, Venom said. We failed.
Maybe I didn't take out the target, Rocket replied. But you did manage to distract that freak long enough for me to whip up a new plan. And this one's a doozy. Whatever you got in mind, Rocket, Jean Grey said. I'm on board. Yeah? Rocket chuckled nervously. You might change your mind when you find out what your part of the plan is, Red. See, the way I figure, your pal the Phoenix is good at two things. One of them is being reborn, which means the other is dying, Jean said solemnly. Bingo, Rocket replied. Death and rebirth, it's kind of your whole shtick. And from all the stories I've heard, you've been stabbed more times than I have pruning Groot. You've been stabbed more times than I have pruning Groot. Anyway, if I'm getting the gist, when the Phoenix host dies, they get reborn in some sort of extra-dimensional nexus made of pure cosmic light, right? White hot room, Jean said.
If No were to be trapped in such a place, Venom said, its pure radiance would eradicate his darkness, wiping away his stain from existence for good.
Perhaps that's true, Jean said. But there's no way to get Noel into the white hot room. I would never risk transferring even a fraction of the Phoenix Force to him. He would become infinitely more powerful. We'd never be able to end his reign. You're right, Rocket said, lowering his head. That's why you gotta die instead. If I'm going to sacrifice myself again, Jean said, I need to know it's for the right reasons. What makes you think I could take No down with me? A while back, my ship crashed into Klyntar and got stuck in the planet's symbiotic surface, Rocket said. At first, I didn't know how to get it out, but then I built a gizmo that worked on the same principle as Captain Marvel's old nigga bands. That's a wild statement. It's close to something else, you know what I mean? It swapped the ship's physical location with the celestial husk in orbit over Klyntar, and boom, problem solved. Impressive, Jean said. But how does that help us against No? Rocket rifled through a pouch on his uniform and pulled out a pair of circuit boards. If you rush in ready to impale yourself on that nasty sword of his, Rocket said, No won't even notice you're wearing a portable version of that tech. As he revels in his victory, Venom will sneak in and slip one onto him too. Then, once you're reborn in that white hot room, I can activate the sequence and switcheroo. No gets annihilated by the light while you're returned back to us safe and sound. In theory, at least. I can't guarantee the tech will work across dimensional planes, but everything else we've tried has already failed. this might be our last chance. Then it's one we have to take, Jean agreed, grabbing Rocket's circuit board and running towards the King in Black. I came here to stop Null, and I plan to see it through, no matter the cost. And the last one is nowhere left to run. Now, it seems like Daredevil's talking now, and nowhere left to run. This city, the 8th city, was once a prison, but it has since become a place of refuge for those who have been cast out of heaven. That's what drew me here in the first place. I had hoped to make amends for my sins, and to help others do the same. It's why the people chose me to lead them, and gave me the name Teasing, a name passed down from ancient Eastern legend, after the Bodhisattva, I think that's how you say that, who willingly entered hell, leading lost souls out of suffering, vowing not to leave until every last soul was freed, even if it meant being the very last to walk out of hell himself. But now, despite my efforts to protect this realm, hell has arrived on our doorstep. She came to the gates of my city under the cover of night, pleading for sanctuary. Her horned crown intimidated my soldiers, but not me. I've seen my fair share of devils in my day, and this one I recognized immediately. She was Hela, the Asgardian, as the Queen of the Dead. I don't like how they worded that. You might as well just say the Asgardian Queen of the Dead. Just having her here posed a grave threat to the safety of my people. But as I said, this is a place of refuge, and she was clearly running from something. Once she was secured inside of a cell, and a mystic seal was in place to keep her from escaping. I asked Hela to tell me what she was hiding from. After a long pause, she finally whispered a single word: no. Days passed before Hela spoke again, but then something changed within her. It was as if she could sense that I didn't plan to take advantage of her. It wasn't long before she asked my guards to summon me so that she could tell me her tale. I listened silently as Hela recounted her journey, how she had traveled to a distant planet to seize an ancient power, how she had forged an unholy alliance with a dark god, granting her abilities beyond her wildest dreams, how she had almost triumphed before a half-human warrior vanquished her with his burning blade, and how, in fear of her dark god's retribution, she had decided to flee from her failure and seek asylum as far away as possible. But now she could feel her powers fading, which meant that Null's reign had been brought to an end. She seemed relieved to be back to her old self again, and implored me to set her free. I thanked Hela for her honesty, but told her that she would have to remain in her cell until I knew she could be trusted. Even though her powers had waned upon Null's demise, she was still a traitor to the Chronoverse. Here in the 8th city, we believed in second chances, but we also believed they had to be earned. As I walked away, I could feel Hela's icy glare follow me. I could hear her black heart beating with rage. I turned back and informed her that being confined in her cell might be a blessing in disguise. After all, she had many sins to atone for, and while I would not be the one to judge her guilt, I had a feeling her own kin would come to deliver justice soon enough. And with that, that's it. That was The Abyss Awakens, and that's the end of that one, bro. That's the end of that one. In the next one, we will be doing a reading of Heart of the Dragon, which is the next season 4. So that was season 3. Now we into season 4. Gonna go into Heart of the Dragon. This one is gonna start with, of course, Daredevil, as we just had talked about. And there was tease at the end, like. People don't know who's coming next because they don't read the lore pages. But the lore pages literally tease and tell you pretty much verbatim who's going to come next. They tell you what's happening. You can even infer what's going to happen in the story based on what happened last time and who the villain might be. But yeah, I think it's just kind of funny to think about. But yeah, either way, that's going to be the next one. We don't have many left. We have Heart of the Dragon. We have Love is a Battlefield, which is what season 5 we just looked at. And we have Night at the Museum. We also have, of course, stuff like the holiday specials and then all the different special stuff, Winter Celebration and stuff like that. And then after that, we pretty much just have the individual characters, because the individual characters have the thing. I wanted to update you guys on what I'm looking forward to doing next. So yeah, that's what we have next. Just the individual characters. They don't have all the hero stories yet because some of them just have them locked, right? So we don't have everything, but we do have some for some characters, usually 1 or 2, depending. So, that's going to be pretty good to look at. Some only have 1, but others have multiple, and that's nice. So I think they're all kind of leading up to something too, because they don't really get little story things that often anyway. But yeah, that's how it is. That's what we got here. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to smash like, dislike if you didn't, and check in the description. You'll see the rest of the lore reading stuff we have on our channel. We have more lore stuff coming in the future, more voice acting, more just all that good stuff. So if you're ready for that, you might as well subscribe, and hit that bell. Go ahead, hit it up. You might as well. With that being said, go ahead and look on the screen right now. There's probably a video right there on the screen that you might like, so go ahead and click on it. Enjoy.